Ultimately, you cannot have sexual encounter between two dead bodies.
So what are some of the biggest barriers to sexual intimacy for couples?
Well, for me, there are really a couple of them, and one of the biggest problems is they couples take sex and kind of stick it over here by itself, and they don't recognize it as just one piece of a bigger intimacy puzzle. That it's not just sexual intimacy, it's emotional intimacy, it's intellectual intimacy, it's intimacy outside of the bedroom, not just inside of the bedroom. And one of the pieces that really plays into that is whether or not couples are making and taking the time that real intimacy takes, and also have you dealt with any anger and resentment that can poison and pollute the relationship.
Well, that's great. So we're talking once again about communication.
Well, communication is a huge piece, but a lot of it is time, and we're so busy with all these things that sex kind of just becomes part of the to-do list, and it's something that can be counted. This is one of the things that I've run into with many of the male clients that I have. They talk about the quantity. When was the last time? How many times? It's something that you can actually check off. And then they're focusing on that, and their wives don't necessarily understand that what they're really asking for is to be connected.
Time is not a quantity. Time means intentionality, willfulness, consciousness. Committed sex is premeditated sex. If you want this thing that people call the myth of spontaneity, that it's just gonna kind of fall from the heaven like a deus ex machina while you're folding the laundry, ain't gonna happen. Whatever is just gonna happen already has. You make it happen. And that means that you begin to think about sexuality not as something you do, that you count, that you can check off your list, but as a place you go, inside yourself and with another. What is sexual intimacy? It's the expression of deeper and personal and intimate parts of us through the language of sex.
I like what you said in terms of the quality of the relationship and the quality of time together and how we use time. Because if we think about it in terms of quality, then we're nurturing each other. We're nurturing our experience together. And in that nurturing of experience, we are kind of building up a desire to want to be together and to want to be closer. And sex is like the celebration of that whole experience. It's the celebration of the relationship because it gives you the immediate gratification of what you're trying to get in the relationship. And so therefore, if you can just imagine when you're at the orgasmic peak of a sexual experience, the relationship can have that same kind of quality, that same kind of excitement, that same kind of thrill, but it's something that you work on.
So we're talking about breaking the myth of accidental love, right? You said spontaneity, the myth of spontaneity, that it's just supposed to happen and that we can't be purposeful or intentional, and in some way that having purpose and intention takes away the romance, takes away the excitement.
The happiest, I think, most satisfied couples understand that there is an intention, that it does take work, and that it's something that builds over time and is not just that amazing final moment, but a bigger picture, just as you were saying, Cynthia.
People are constantly talking about what turns me on and what turns me off. But if you turn it around, and I do this courtesy of Gina Ogden, I turn myself off when? And I turn myself on when or by. And I take responsibility for my desires. You will see that people will just turn themselves off because they don't take time for themselves. They haven't seen their friends. They haven't been in nature. They haven't danced or listened to music or gone to the movie or done the things that make them feel alive. Ultimately, you cannot have sexual encounter between two dead bodies, or two deadened people. So what turns me on is the same in reverse. When I'm with people, when I see friends, when I feel good at work, when I'm creative, when I'm in nature, when I am energized and alive. And if people don't do that, then they say to the other, you're not doing it for me. You're just not turning me on. Well, excuse me. And they can do all kinds of things, but if there's nobody there at the reception desk, Ain't gonna happen.
So what we're talking about is really taking responsibility for your own sexuality, your own interest in relationship, and not really relying on your partner to read your mind and know how to turn you on all the time. And I think then we can really have great sexual intimacy. We can all get paid, right?
Yes, I love that.